Hi guys, and welcome to this short repair video. Today I'm going to be attempting to fix Marvel Superheroes vs Street Fighter, which is a CPS2 game. The problem with CPS2 games is that the game code is encrypted and it has a decryption key stored in a RAM chip which is supported by a battery. That battery, known to most people as a suicide battery. And what can happen is when the battery loses power as it discharges over its life, the information stored in the RAM chips is lost. So you're left with encrypted game code but no decryption key. And then obviously you can't play it anymore. So I'll just show you what that looks like when you do try to boot a suicided game. Just turn this off. That is a CPS2 game out of the case. And as you can see here, that is the battery, lovingly known as the suicide battery. So what we'll do now, we'll just remove the ST board. And then we'll put the Marvel Superheroes board on. Have to be really careful because the PCB is quite fragile. Just push it down firmly so it makes contact. And then power on. So that is now on, but there's absolutely nothing displaying on the TV. That is one dead game. Okay, so to remove it you have to be really careful. You have to kind of just prise it up very slowly, work it free. Because if you pull too hard on the PCB you might damage it. Really just got to work away at it. There we go, that's now free from the board. So what we'll do here then is we'll desolder these 2 points on the motherboard to release the battery. You can see on the PCB there it does say where the battery is. Sure enough, on the opposite side there it is. So you just need to desolder those 2 points and it should pop out. So what I like to do, just apply some heat while you're holding the battery underneath and just pull it through. There you go. The battery is now completely out. That was quite a simple job. Now that we've removed the battery, you're going to need to reprogram the ROMs. Now the ROMs that we'll want to be reprogramming are these ones here. Those are known as the program ROMs. And then you have your graphics and sound ROMs up there. Now the interesting thing with the program ROMs is they are actually rewritable. Underneath these little labels is a UV window. And you can erase the chips by exposing them to UV light. You can buy these slightly dubious looking EEPROM erasers from eBay. Basically all it is a plastic box with a UV light inside. So the other thing that you'll need that is key to getting this to work is the programmer. Now this is also from eBay, but this is a lot higher build quality than the random erasers that you get. This is a Mini Pro TL866 programmer. It supports a huge range of chips. This is actually what I use to program a couple of spare chips for the ST training mode. Now this does also erase ROMs, but the ROMs that are in the board aren't electronically erasable. You need to erase them with the UV light. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to want to do is to remove the ROM chips so you can put them in the UV eraser. So really you'd want a proper IC extractor or something along those lines, or like a trim remover tool. Unfortunately I don't have that, so I'm just going to have to very carefully just wedge a flathead screwdriver in there and lift each side up. Okay, next we need to erase the ROMs, so peel back the label on the chip itself, and then you're left with the little window there. And then you need to put it in your UV eraser, like so. Okay, so left the chip in for half an hour to do a full erase cycle, because left in for about 25 minutes and it didn't seem to quite do it. So what we can do now is verify that the chip is blank. Pop it in the programmer, lock it into place. Now the first thing that you need to do is to select the type of memory chip that it is. Now if you look carefully on the actual ROM, it will usually have some numbers printed on there. So if you click up here and then you just begin to type those numbers in. So we've got 27C240, and I can see on the chip it's got a Texas Instruments logo, so we go down to TI, and I know it's a DIP40 package. TMS 27C240, that's the one. So select that. Now we should be good to read the ROM. And then if you go to device, you can actually do a blank check. So read that. And there you go, the chip is now completely empty and ready for programming. Now that your chip is erased, you need to cover up the window with a label, and then just label that with the same notation that it originally had. Then we need to put the chip into the programmer, and we're ready to flash the unencrypted ROM. So if you're into emulation, you probably downloaded ROMs and tried opening them at one time and wondered why there are so many files. The reason for that is that the files in the ROM correspond to the individual chips. So the chip that we took out was 10B. So now what we need to do is to bring up the MiniPro software again. Then we need to locate that ROM file. So 10B, open that. Make sure check device ID is disabled, because sometimes that fails. And then you just need to make sure that your voltages are correct. Now you should program at 13 volts, but there isn't an option for that. It's either 12.5 or 13.5. So you're going to try with 12.5 to begin with. And everything else is pretty much okay. So to start writing to the ROM, you need to press P and then hit program. So there you go. As you can see, that programming was successful. We have now phoenixed one of the ROMs. I'll spare you the pain of having to go through the other 7 ROMs because it's exactly the same process. And it's a case of putting them in the eraser for half an hour, then putting the ROM in the programmer, selecting the correct file, and then writing that, and then reinserting them into the board. into the correct sockets. Put the last ROM in, lock that into place, and then we jump into our programmer software. First we do a blank check. Okay, that's all good. So now we load the ROM up. And then we hit program and cross our fingers. Okay, that's the final ROM programmed. Now it is time for the moment of truth. So get rid of that. Put the ROM back into the board. Might have to do this off camera just so it's a bit easier. There we go. Everything's in and secure now. Now just got to put it on and hope for the best. Okay, what have we got? There we go.